Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Fish the Mark. Appreciate you taking the time to look at the videos and providing comments and updates. Also, really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. It really helps folks like me who create these channels if you subscribe to them. YouTube, they're much easier for us to work with and stuff if we have subscribers. So if you hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. Thought I would take this video and just kind of wrap up 2022, especially the tournament season for me. 2022 tournament season was difficult on a couple fronts. One of them is, I don't know why, but I am terrible at videotaping fish catches while fishing tournaments. Apparently, the combination of the competition and trying to catch the fish and then properly record the fish catches and run the camera is just too much for me, and I tend to screw it up on the tournament days far too often. And so I don't have a lot of video from fish catches for the whole year, but it was kind of okay because I wasn't doing very well in fish tournaments most of the year last year. The first, from April until August, I think I only cashed maybe a couple checks that whole time, and my partners and I weren't way out of the money, but we weren't in the money very much. And so there wasn't a lot of really exciting things to show. And I was kind of in a slump. And then in middle of September, all that turned around and changed. So I thought I would spend a little bit of time talking about those three tournaments where it all turned around and changed. And so let me share the screen here so you can see. There we go. And so there were, like I said, I wasn't having a great tournament year, and then all of a sudden won three back to back to back. And so that kind of makes the whole season feel good when you win three tournaments back to back to back. And so the first one was at a private lake that I fish a tournament there once a month with my dad. One of them was the Fishers of Men District Championship up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, Mississippi River. And one of them was the Dupo Marine Tournament down on Lake of the Ozarks. So kind of a wide variety of bodies of water that I fished and ended up winning on all three of those. So I already talked about how it was a tough year, not many checks, pretty much a slump all spring and summer. To me, it's like a shooter in basketball. You just keep shooting. And then every once in a while, you just need a catalyst to get you going. And that catalyst was fishing that tournament with my dad on the small private lake. Like I said, it's a once a month tournament between April and September. Dad and I fish it. It's a big bass tournament where you just weigh in one fish per person. And it's like a 9 or 10 boat tournament. There's not a lot of boats. There's maybe 20 fishermen involved in it. But it's a fun tournament, and we're able to go out and catch the big bass, won the tournament. And actually I did a good job with video on this. So we've got video for the 5 fish that I caught that day that were of decent size, and the winning fish got a good tournament. I got a good video for it too to show. So the first fish of the day came on an angler asset spinnerbait, and then the rest of the fish came on the rocket crawl that you guys have seen me fish throughout all these videos. It seems like I'm catching something on a rocket crawl. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tournament catches and what I did that day to win the tournament. All right, let's take a look at the fish catches from the big bass tournament that we had with my dad. By the way, everybody, that's Dad. Say hi to Dad. At this point, we'd been out fishing for probably half hour. I'd missed 1 or 2 bites that I didn't get in on the rocket craw. As you can see, I just been over and picked up the angler asset spinnerbait here. And so turn around and I fire this thing out, and I don't even get one crank into it, and this thing gets smacked. So bring this in. It's a nice, it's a 14-incher. It's not a huge fish, but it gets us on the board, gets me on the board, gets us a fish that we can put in the live well. We know it's not going to win, but we'll have something going in it. Kind of a confidence boost to get a fish early in the day. So then we fish about, we probably fish 20, 30 yards after that one. And everybody that's on this lake that watches my videos, they know exactly where I'm at. But there's a big tractor tire that there's always fish around that's underneath the water. And so this is, I pick up the rocket craw and throw it into the tractor tire, and scared Dad a little bit with the hook set, and set the hook on this one, and get a little bigger fish, 15 incher, probably close to 2 pounds. Now this one here, this is probably another half hour, 45 minutes after, you can see the sun's up now. After that 15 incher, we're probably half a mile away, 3/4 of a mile away from that first spot that you saw on the video. And this area here has deeper water. It's where I'm going to cast to is about 3 feet deep. It drops off pretty quick to about 5 feet deep. And there's some tree limbs underneath the water that you can work the jig over or the lure over. I'm throwing the rocket craw. I pitch it out there. It lands. I bring it over the tree limbs that are there, drop it down, and this guy picks it up. This ends up being the winning fish for the big bass tournament. It's 4 pounds, 1 ounce. It's October, the water's still fairly warm, so he still has some pretty good fight in him yet. And there we go. We get him in the boat, or her probably in the boat, and gives me a 4 pound, 1 ounce boat on my scale. Actually, when we took it to the tournament, weighed it in. On their scale, it weighed in heavier, but on mine, weighed in at 4.1. Now we've got that 4.1 in the boat, and we've moved maybe 30 yards down the same shoreline. And I just pitched in front of this boat lift right here. And the camera doesn't see where the lure lands. But you'll notice that after I get the hit and I set the hook, this fish wraps me around this post on the boat lift. Again, I'm using the rocket craw. Luckily for me, the fish unwinds himself. See him wrapped around the boat lift right there. So I'm getting ready to run the trolling motor in to go get him, and he comes off all by himself for me from the boat lift. So able to get him in. Had to weigh him to make sure he was bigger or smaller. Turns out he was a little bit smaller than the one in the live well, so we ended up letting this one go. But throwing that rocket craw again up there, getting a nice fish out of it. Now this is just, probably another half hour later. So that 4 pounder was caught about 20 yards behind us, and that 311 was caught down here off the boat lift down here. And so what had happened is, caught the 4 pounder, went down the shoreline. I missed 1 or 2 going down the shoreline, caught that 311. We turned around, came back up that shoreline. I missed 1 more, because that's the kind of season I'm having during tournaments. So I turned around, went back down that shoreline 1 more time, flipped up close to the shoreline, get a nice hit here, and bring this one in. And it's a 17 incher. I knew it was smaller than the one in the live well, so I didn't weigh it. But I bumped it and let this one go. Oops, sorry about that. So ended up with those 5 fish catches. Again, it's a big fish tournament, so that 4-1 won the tournament, and got me started on the 3 for 3. All right. Well, then after that came the Fishers of Men District Championship. Fished with a buddy Jason in this tournament trail. That we qualified through the regular season to fish the district championship. It was in La Crosse, Wisconsin, on the Mississippi River. About 4 or 5 weeks after the Bassmaster Elites were there. So we actually went and fished in the same spots we fished the Elites fishing. It was the weekend after the big bass tourney that we just won. We had a tough week of practice up there. We got up there Monday night, and so we started fishing. We had practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then the tournament was Friday and Saturday. Did not have a camera in the boat. We were using Jason's boat because the top 3 teams go to district, and then the top finishing Mercury team, the team that's using a Mercury, goes to the national championship as well. Since I run Yamahas, we were taking Jason's Phoenix with the Mercury on it. However, I've not been able to figure out a good way to hook up my cameras in Jason's boat, so we don't have any camera footage in this. It was a tough week of practice. The first day we got there, the very first place we went to, which if you guys watch the Bassmaster Elites, it's also the very first place that Brandon Polinick went to in that elite tournament that he won Angler of the Year at. We caught 2 keepers in the first 15 minutes. Felt like we were really onto something. We left it, didn't go back and touch that spot the rest of the week. Spent the rest of the week looking for other places. The rest of the week, after catching 2 keepers in that one spot in the first hour, we fished 2.5 more days of practice, and we caught 2 keepers in the next 2.5 days of practice. So caught a lot of shorts, but we weren't catching any keepers. And then we ended up with a few boat challenges while we were up there. Made us feel like we needed to stay within about 5 or 6 miles of the ramp, so that in case we had a problem, we couldn't get back, we would be able to either get towed back by a competitor or get our fish taken back to weigh-in by a competitor. So we ended up staying pretty close to the weigh-in throughout the entire tournament days. Fishing got great during the tournament days for us. The first day, Jason caught him on topwater and jerkbaits, and we ended up in 3rd place. The second day, I caught him on crankbaits and rocket craws, and ended up being enough to propel us into 1st place. So let's take a little bit at the results. Here's the first day fish that we weighed in. I think 4 of these 5 were Jason's fish. He caught 4 right off the bat on a topwater at the first spot we went to, which was again that Brandon Polinick spot that we practiced on the first day. And so we went back right away to the spot where we caught those 2 at on the first day of practice. Jason caught 4 quick ones there. I ended up catching 1 there. We left there after an hour and a half with our limit. And so we were like, okay, we've got a spot that we can go get a limit at the next day to get started. Now let's go see if we can find some bigger fish. We ended up going and hitting a lot of different spots the rest of that day. We called up 2 or 3 more times. I say we, I think Jason called us up mostly those 2 or 3 more times. And we ended up with 1291 was our weight at the end of day 1, which put us in 3rd place. So second day started, we went back to that spot where we caught that quick limit. And in that spot, we fished it for an hour and a half and caught 1 keeper. And so our guaranteed limit spot didn't pan out. We went and started hitting some other spots that we'd found during practice that we caught smaller fish at. And we ended up on a pattern where we were fishing docks with both the rocket paw and crankbaits, and ended up having an incredible day 2. We ended up catching well over 20 keeper bass, caught 2 northern pike that were over 8 pounds each. We just had a crazy good day on that second day of fishing. Ended up bringing in just a little bit shy of 14 pounds. The 2 teams that were ahead of us didn't do as well on their second day as they did their first day, and it propelled us to winning the tournament by about 1/4 pound. So we went from 3rd place to 1st place, won the tournament. There we are with our trophies. There's what the plaque looks like up close. By the way, this is Jason. Everybody say hi to Jason. And so just a really super good day on that second day, and it really got us propelled and going. And so now I'm 2 for 2, right? I won a tournament on Saturday with my dad. Turned around, went across Wisconsin, fished this tournament, won this one with Jason. So we had 2 for 2 going. The lures that we used on day one, the topwater lure that Jason caught fish on that got us our first limit. Most of those that he caught were on a lure. This isn't his lure that he used. This is my lure, but it was a pencil popper / cane walker type lure that he caught it on. And so I took a picture of mine that was similar, and then caught several keepers on a rocket crawl throughout the tournament. Traditional rocket crawl, you guys see me throw 1,000 times with a 1/4 ounce weight. And then the DT10, and the DT10 on the second day really became the killer lure for us. We probably caught 20 keepers on that DT10. Both of those big northern came on it. It's kind of funny. I used the same DT10 all day long, throwing it in rocks, getting it stuck, was able to unpop it, retie. Caught both of those northern without a steel leader on it, and still got them in the boat, saved my DT10. Was able to use the exact same one all day long, which was just awesome. That worked out. I did have a backup in the boat if I needed it, but this one was working and the fish seemed to like it. And so that's what I used to win that tournament. Then the third tournament was 2 weeks after Fisherman's. It was the Dupo Marine Tournament. It's on the Lake of the Ozarks. There's 106 boats on the tournament, so it's a good sized tournament, big body of water. It's the second year in a row that Jason and I used the same pattern down there. In 2021. We got 4th place in this tournament using this pattern. And what our pattern was, we have a very certain shore structure that we're looking for. Very rocky drop off kind of shoreline that we're looking for. We're looking for it to be wind blown, looking for sunshine, and we're looking for boat waves on it. And we get all that combination together, it tends to get us some better fish. And so we're looking for that kind of shoreline during this tournament in October down there. And the sunshine, being on the sunshine side, is really important to us. We caught very little out of shade. Everything had to be on the sunny side. And so, pretty much down there, all the fish that we weighed in were caught on the rocket craw. Caught 2 absolute tanks, right? This one here was 6 pounds 5 ounces. This one is 6 pounds 11 ounces. One is big bass for the day. Luckily, I caught both of those. And here's a picture of us getting the check and the stuff at the meeting that night afterwards. This is a really fun tournament. Dupo Marine does a great job running it. I highly recommend it for people to go down. The lake is so big, 106 boats is nothing. They could put another 100 boats in this tournament and still have plenty of room to fish. So really recommend everybody going and fishing this tournament. If you like fishing the Lake of the Ozarks, it's a great tournament to go fish. So let's see the fish catch from Lake of the Ozarks. All right, here we are down Lake of the Ozarks. And this is going to be the fish catch that I've got from down there for him. But here I started, there's a brush pile right up here. And I caught one yesterday out of the brush pile during practice. So threw up there again, missed that one. I go up there and try to make another cast, see if that fish is there. Nobody's home there either. So I ended up bringing that in, but I kind of wanted to set that up. I mean, this was, out in the open here is not how we were catching most of our fish during this day. Most of our fish were back on the back side of these docks, and the one that I'm going to catch here in a minute comes from back there. So after not catching that one that I missed there, and then going back up there, not getting another hit. By the way, this is Jason. Everybody say hi to Jason. I'm going to cast up here underneath this dock. Now, what's important about this cast is that I don't do a very good job with it. I want to get back underneath here, and I do end up back underneath there, but I needed to go underneath this cable that's holding the dock in place. Instead, I go over the top of the cable. Well, when you go over the top of that cable and underneath here, you have a problem when you go to catch a fish. And so I end up going over that cable underneath there, get the fish. Oh, Jason, that's a big one. Get the net. Jason gets the net. he comes up, and Jason actually does a great job of getting the net way out in front and getting the fish on the first try. But now I've got the line, I got the rod above the cable, I got the line going around the cable, and the fish with the line is underneath the cable and in the boat. So I've got the line wrapped around that cable right now. So, but we're both super happy with this fish. Kind of get up, I start taking the lure out of it, getting excited about the fish, and try to drop the fish and the lure and my rod all overboard because the boat drifts away from the cable. So it ended up being a little bit of a fiasco. So Jason takes the fish over while I grab the rod. He gets the hook out, comes back and puts it in with the other six pounder that weighed. Had two 6-pounders that day, remember? So this is the smaller of the two. So he puts that in. So that was our fish catch from down there. Now I wanted to show this. This isn't the craziest part of the ride, but every year when we fish this Dupo Marine tournament, always happens to be a poker run for the big boats down there. And so even though it's October, and you can tell it's a beautiful day, but even though it's October, there are boats running all over the place. And we're actually going back up into the Gravois Arm here. And you'll start seeing all these boats. See them over here? And all these are 30-foot offshore boats, just one after the other, coming out of the back of the Gravois Arm at us. We end up having this all day long. Everywhere we go, there's just tons of these boats coming at us. I thought it was kind of interesting, so I thought I would show it to everybody, see what it's like running down there. Excuse me, let me go back here to the end of this. I mean, right here, there's 3 of them coming around that corner right there all together. It's just like that the entire time that you're down there. So makes for an interesting trip fishing Lake of the Ozarks. But the fishing's really good. We caught 2 6-pounders on this trip and ended up winning it. Thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate it. Please provide comments and feedback, and if you would please subscribe to the channel, that really helps out. So thank you very much, and everybody good luck on their 2023 season.